All right, welcome to the Actually Doing Things podcast. Today we have a special guest here. He's one of our epic 10-year members at the gym, Dr. Scott Fry. And today we're going to talk about our journey and where we're headed in the new year that is coming up, 2026. So stay tuned for a fun time. Dr. Fry, do you like me calling Scott? Let's go Scott.
I always tell people I've been Scott a lot longer than I've been Dr. Fry.
Right? But do people ever call you Dr. Fry here? I don't think anyone that calls you Dr. Fry.
Only when I'm not doing something right.
Oh yeah. Doctor?
Yeah, there that comes out. But no, most of the time, no.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm glad everyone knows how to treat you. So tell me a little bit how you started CrossFit. I think that you started a different class than me when I first got going.
I've pretty much always done the early class. And so my running partner and triathlon partner and I had finished a few triathlons, and we knew we needed to improve our strength. And so one of our friends said, hey, why don't you try CrossFit? And I'd seen it online and it looked interesting. And so that was back in the days of the old box back behind the coffee station, and it was pretty rustic.
Yeah, we called it the shoebox.
We started there at 5:30 in the morning. I think they did it at 5:30 or 5 o'clock. I can't remember. But at any rate, that's where we started. And about a month after we started there, CrossFit moved here. At first, I was a couple day a week person and still mostly training for triathlons and doing endurance stuff. And we'd be here a couple days a week, and then slowly that morphed into 3 and 4, and then pretty much every day of the week, except for Saturdays have always been my rest day. So it's pretty much what I've done off and on since then.
Yeah.
So, long time.
What did you find hooked you after you started coming?
So I always tell people it really is shared suffering. So it really is. One of the things about doing really difficult things is that it creates a camaraderie that you can't have unless you do difficult things. And so things like CrossFit where you're really working hard, but you're working really hard with other people, and you're pushing yourself. And I'm a little bit competitive, or a lot competitive, and so you're also comparing yourself to other people. And in the CrossFit community, that's a supportive comparison. I mean, I want to beat you, but I want to beat you when you're doing your best. Right. And I just want to do a little bit better. But I want you to do your best. I don't want you to have a bad day. And so we're cheering for everybody to have their best day. But I like that push. Yeah. And it helps to have that push, especially when you're just working flat out. So.
Do you remember your very first workout?
I don't. I remember one of our first workouts, but I don't remember the very first one.
Okay, yeah, like you blacked it out maybe.
I think, we just walked into class. They didn't really have a great preparatory thing set up, and we just walked in, signed up, and said, go. And Shane was the coach, and he's a good coach, and he was trying to look out for us and teach us some techniques. But luckily, it wasn't the first time I'd done lifts. I'd played football, and so we'd done lifting before. That wasn't the first time I'd done lifts, so it wasn't new to me. But still, it's a lot of different styles and techniques, but still wasn't new. But I don't remember my first workout.
Yeah, I don't remember the first one, but you do remember a workout.
I remember one that we did in the old box. The one I remember in the old box was 100 deadlifts.
Oh, yeah.
At 225. And every time you dropped the bar, you had to do 25 sit-ups. I remember that one.
Okay, yeah. I think that was one of our last ones we did there.
It was one of the last ones at that box. I remember it was the first one I RX'd, and it about killed me. But yeah, I do remember that one.
That was, I think mine was Angie. So it was like the 50, but we had to do mod Angie because it was 100 of everything, but it was just 50 of everything. And I remember being like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Why won't my arms work?
Why won't my arms work?
And I thought, I'm really good at sit-ups, so I'll be great there. And that was the first time I experienced the CrossFit, with the cushion, and you wear the skin completely off your back. And I had not experienced that yet. And I got in the shower and I learned all about that. And that water hit. Oh man.
Lessons,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What are so you obviously had a great running buddy.
Yeah.
What are some of the other adventures that you've been able to do since starting CrossFit? Things you've enjoyed?
So I've done the open a number of times that I've always enjoyed. I've done a couple more triathlons since I've been in CrossFit. I've never gone and done an actual weigh competition or anything like that. But yeah, I think I've run a couple, 10Ks and half marathons while we're involved with that. But that's about it. So, yeah, as far as other competitions.
Yeah.
Or other things.
Other things, yeah. What are some of what's been your health journey like? I think a lot of us talk about, it does impact our health, but tell me a little bit about your health journey.
Yeah, my health journey has been quite the adventure. So I have my fitness journey, which before I started CrossFit, I'd finished residency and I was in pretty bad shape as far as physically after residency, which many of us are. We just didn't have time to work out. I'm a stress eater.
Yep.
And so, I was up to about 245 pounds and started to work out regularly and had a partner. And we were doing some lifting and then we were doing swimming and a spinning class. And then Mark Haugen joined with us and he said, he's a really good runner and he ran cross country. And he's like, you guys are doing 2/3 of a triathlon. Let's sign up for one. And it'll give you something to work for, a challenge. And I had never run farther than a mile in my life at one point in time, never run that far. But that turned out to be a really good thing. So it gave me something to focus on, something to work toward, helped me to work on weight. So I did my first triathlon 5 months after we made that decision. And then we did 1 or 2 every year. So that's where it kind of started as far as fitness goes. I've had a lot of health problems myself, and most people probably aren't aware of that, but I have. So I developed inflammatory bowel disease when I was in medical school, and most of the time it was fine, wasn't a big deal, at least that's what I told myself. And so while in CrossFit, I got very sick to the point where, I lost a lot of weight. I spent several weeks in the hospital. I spent a couple weeks in the intensive care unit in Seattle and got down to about 135 pounds, had to go on parenteral feeding. At any rate, I had surgery and I was back at CrossFit within 4 weeks of surgery. Still had my ileostomy, had a special apparatus so I could do CrossFit. It was rough. But that being said, I knew, you had this community and I was still part of the community. I knew I was going back. It wasn't a question of losing that. I was like, as soon as I can get through this, I'm going to be back and that's going to be great. And so then, was back for a few months, then had a second surgery and then eventually a third surgery. And since then my health has been actually pretty good.
Awesome.
And so, I have kind of the stuff that goes with that. I have very poor mobility in my back and hamstrings, which everybody knows who's been in the class with me. But that actually goes with it. And so, I can't touch my toes, but I can still see them over my belly, which is one of my goals at my age. Anyway, so coming back, I knew with the community that I would be back. It was never a question for me. And it was just a community that, some of the CrossFit people actually came up and visited me in the intensive care unit in Seattle, or at least messaged me. So, that community brings you back to fitness. So, people like Bob, Bob, right. I was here when Bob started, and he used to come to the 5:30 class in the morning, and there was, we pushed each other pretty hard.
Yeah.
And at any rate, so people like that, you knew you were going to join back up in that community. So yeah, and now I'm fighting the aging process like everybody else.
Yeah.
So.
What do you think about lots of people who are like, as people are getting older, what are some of the things you know about people if you aren't strength training and taking care of yourself? Like what would happen?
So, I think the saying always is that Father Time is undefeated. And eventually, the aging process happens. But that doesn't mean that Father Time is not influenceable. So we can influence what happens through our journey. And you're going to get stiff. You're going to get weak. It's going to be hard to move. Your metabolism's going to change. And that's all going to happen either way. It's going to happen whether you stay working out or not. The difference is going to be how much you're able to enjoy your life and what you're going to be able to do and not do. You know, I can't recover like I used to, but I can still do everything that I want to do. If I want to, you know, go out and get on my bike, if I want to do yard work, I can do all those things. And I think that's the major difference, you know. So yeah, we all are gonna, even when you do fitness stuff, you're gonna hurt. You're gonna be sore. You're gonna be stiff, and you're gonna do that same stiffness and difficulty moving if you don't work out. But the difference is I can still get up and do stuff, and other people can't. You know, especially as they get to my age.
Have you seen friends and compatriots that you are around struggle?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other reality of this is that in my career, physicians still have the shortest lifespan of any professional. You know, our lifespan has not improved since, you know, around World War II.
Why do you think that is?
Almost for sure related to our poor lifestyle. You know, the stress management, the sleep issues, the way we generally eat. I always tell people, do not mirror physicians for your health. They may have really good advice for your health, but they themselves, what we have to put ourselves through is not good for your body and not good for your health. And you know, it shows up in our lifespan. You know, so when you're up at night and not sleeping, when you are sleeping, but there's going to be a phone call that's going to wake you up, all those kind of things, particularly sleep deprivation affects our health. And no doubt about it. And the way we eat and the way we use caffeine. And many physicians also using alcohol, these different things that we do to try and just survive a really demanding career. So not good for your health. So you try and fight that.
Yeah. What is your career path right now? Where are you at, kind of in that
process? I've been all over the place, but it's really funny now. I'm working less than I ever have in my life before, but I'm now just doing endoscopy, which means colonoscopies and EGDs, and that's all I'm doing. And I do that 5 days a week, and I'm home in the afternoon, and nobody's calling me at night for the first time in my career. This year. This holiday season will be the first holiday season in 12 years I've not been working on one of the major holidays. Wow. I'll be home for every one of the major holidays, the first time in 12 years that's happened. So, yeah, that'll be different.
Yeah.
It'll be a big change for me and my family.
Yeah. Well, I think that I've seen that be even more a priority for you over the last few years, just like prioritizing your family time.
Well, it had to. You know, I was working in the emergency room, which I really enjoyed, but those were really long hours, often at night, and I was traveling to do that. So I'd be gone sometimes 48 hours or 72 hours for shifts. And all three of my children have come through CrossFit, which has been great in each of their own journeys. And Emily has been at CrossFit, and when she was diagnosed with cancer last summer, we needed to take care of her, and unfortunately I was still working a lot, so I was home for her surgery, but then a lot of the time during her radiation and chemotherapy, my wife was doing all that, and that's just not acceptable, taking care of your family that way. So when this opportunity came up, then I could be home and not gone, so it was a good move for that reason. And so by the way, Emily's doing really well. So she's doing well. She's doing well. But unfortunately, the type of cancer she has is very likely to return. And so we needed to prepare for that. Yeah.
She's, having her, when she's been able to drop in here and there, it's been just nice to see her. Yeah. She's another inspiration person in our cohort of humans.
She's been amazing. And the whole time it's just been, she's handled it just like a little blip in the road, most of the time, just moving on really well, and continuing to live her life, almost like, doing the things she has to do, and being realistic about those things. But that's about it. I mean, other than that, she just puts it aside and lives her life, which is excellent.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and you mentioned she's had that model of like, you just keep doing the things, you know.
And I think that's one of the most important things you can do is sometimes you just have to do the thing that's in front of you. When I was very sick, and Emily, one of the things you learn is you become very task oriented. You have the next thing you have to do, and that may be all you can manage, but that's still a pretty significant success. You managed to do that thing. And so sometimes it's just, this is all I'm going to manage. But that's a huge win. Depending on where you're at and what's going on in your life.
Yeah, you're definitely a proud parent too.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very proud of all three of my children.
Yeah.
They're all unique, which is wonderful. But my goal with parenting was to deliver adults to the world who would be a addition. And I think, we've got great kids who will be an addition to the world and not a subtraction. And they're all great, and they're very unique, and they have their own personalities, and very strong personalities, all three of them, which would be expected for my wife and I.
Yeah, I think watching them all come through CrossFit, and whether they're getting up with the butt crack of dawn to come to class, or come to 6:30 class or later on, loved seeing like you all standing together, like. Maybe it's like before Murph, I have like those pictures in my mind of like Stephen and you, like, hey,
doing Murph together, and doing different our Christmas workout or our Santa Claus workout, workout, which is coming up. But I don't have none of my kids are coming anymore, so I don't know. Maybe I won't have to do that one anymore.
Or just invite them back in for a little hangout to do a little
pretty sure
visit. I'll do it with you.
We'll do Santa Claus workout. But those things are great, and that's a family. And even though my kids aren't doing CrossFit anymore, all of them are still doing fitness. And they've modified their fitness to things that, they enjoy. And I think that's perfect. I think 100% of us need to be doing fitness. But that doesn't mean you need to do CrossFit. That doesn't mean you need to do any specific thing. But 100% of people need to do fitness, and they're all doing fitness. Which is perfect.
Well, so much. I think there's even some great statistics, like the parent just kind of drives what kids at least will choose, that they'll choose something in that area, and like what their fitness journey is. And I agree, everyone's going to have seasons perhaps too in terms of the things that they're interested in. What do you see as like goals for yourself over the course of the next things, because I think having something to train for is a very important thing, right? Like if I think goals are one thing, but really it's like, what did you choose? What are you training for? The next, triathlon, maybe it's the next, the Open is coming or whatever.
Yeah, I think goals are imperative. And a goal that doesn't scare you a little bit isn't going to change you.
Right.
So doing the first triathlon was intimidating. It was scary. I didn't think I could do it.
Yeah.
And so I haven't set one, as we've gone through the transitions we've been through over the last few years, we've just kind of been treading water as far as that goes. But I'm starting to really think about it. What am I going to want to do? I think probably it'll be high rocks, because as my body ages, high rocks is more doable, and it probably fits my body better than a CrossFit workout. So, I did pretty well when LEL and I partnered for the full high rocks run, and actually went pretty well. So, I've kind of been.
Have you looked at some of the locations?
I've looked at them a little bit, and if they have, I'm lazy in that regard. I don't want to drive or fly to do something like that. So I'm kind of hoping that somebody in the Tri-Cities will do.
We'll find a big location. I mean, Seattle might come up.
Seattle would be doable.
The closest one is, I think, Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few, but
and I've kind of kicked it around, but I have not dedicated to it yet. Once I sign up, I'll dedicate to it. Yeah. And then I'll drag, somebody else along with me to be my accountability partner.
That's so true.
Bob, that's you
Bob
looking at you, buddy.
I bet he would honestly, I think he would be on the list. It's nice because we do get early bird registration. So when you find one, you let me know. We'll keep our eye open for your registration. But High Rocks is something that I see as a great accessible time for people. I mean, I was talking to someone today. They're like, I'd love to have another one, during the week. And so we'll see how this next year goes. It's kind of like, what can we build out that helps people for longevity?
Yeah.
And CrossFitters are great because the training program will get you really close to being ready. You just have to It's a lot more running.
It's a lot of running, but I run now once a week anyway, and I've continued to do that. So I have the Thursdays when I'm not here, I'm running.
Yeah.
So I'm still running every week. We're not pushing for time like we used to, or running
Right.
intervals or those kind of things, but I'm running.
Yeah.
And so that, we usually run 5 or 6 miles. And if you
That's
look
right,
at a
that
High
time
Rocks
frame.
range,
Yep.
it's 5 miles basically that you're going to run. So, that's doable.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you said before, like finding a good travel time frame that works for you with like life and stuff. But are you doing the turkey trot this year?
Yeah, I'll probably do Stephen and I'll run the turkey trot. We've been running the turkey trot since he was a little guy.
Yeah.
A few times he's been gone or I've had to work when we haven't done it, but most years we do it. And so we'll probably run the turkey trot together again this year. And usually the rest of the family comes and they're not going to run it. If you know the rest of my family's opinion about running, nope,
like
not
a
happening.
stroll, if you will.
Yeah, but they come and they do the walk. But Stephen and I'll probably run it.
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah, this year you did Chad. I think with a new weight vest too. That was another thing.
No, I had that same. I bought it just last year.
Okay,
Yeah, it's the second year I've done it with that one.
Yeah. What do you think about? How'd you feel like this year's Chad went?
It was my worst Chad year, but that was part of my own fault. So it was such a nice day that day, so I decided, hey, let's go play golf, and I just can't make. Anyway, so I walked the golf course carrying my bag, and then turned right around that evening.
Which is also like 40 pounds probably.
Tried to do Chad, RX. So it was tough. I struggled, but I finished it.
Yeah.
So.
What would you tell someone who is just starting CrossFit? If you met them for the first time, we have a few people I know that you talk to in the morning who are newer. What are some of the things that you tell them as they get kind of rolling?
Most of the time with new people, I'm trying to encourage them, just encourage them, because there can be so much information that can get hard, and they're, what am I doing with all this information that's coming in? I'm told I'm not doing this lift right or that thing wrong, and a lot of people who haven't been athletes, they don't know where their body is in space, and so people are telling me you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, and they really don't even know. Because they're having a hard time seeing where their body's in space. So most of the time, I'm just encouraging them. You're all right, and then that, but also when to push. When to push yourself. So there's some people like myself who tend to over push, and I'm pushing myself when I'm tired and injured and those kind of things. There's other people who've never pushed their body before, and they don't know that they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
They start to push and their heart rate goes up and they get short of breath and they start to panic. And they're like, I'm not going to be okay. And then they get to that point and they back off. And you can see it. And when you've been doing this a long time, I'm like, you're all right and you can go deeper and you're going to be okay. So trying to find that balance where you're really encouraging people but also when it's all right to put yourself out there and get your heart rate jacked up and find that CrossFit recovery position, flat on your back, feeling like you died. So that's kind of that balance I'm trying to find. And then sometimes there's just some little technique tricks that the coach is somewhere else, or you see something, you're like, I know what they're feeling because I've done that myself. And you're like, hey, if you just turn your hands this, or whatever it happens to be. Sometimes that. But yeah.
I've seen that more in you too, just like that mentor / guide that's like there but not hovering, but you also are there to have a fun time and push people. And I think that's something that people really do look up to you, and you give them a little extra nudge.
Well, you can't let the old guy beat you. I mean, come on now. I'm twice your age. You can't. Come on.
Yeah.
Now. You can't let somebody my age beat you.
Well, and that's like camaraderie and teamwork, I think too. And I think you've definitely you're someone who I look forward to having when I'm in class. So I know you're gonna give me a little nudge as well. I mean, that's for me fun. Yeah. I look forward to seeing you in class. If you were kind of looking at your what your next adventures are, we've talked a little about High Rocks, but is there any family things that you want to do?
It's an interesting stage where we're moving into the empty nester stage. Mara's graduated and taking kind of a year.
Job now.
Yeah, and has a real job, and we next year's planning on going to college. Who knows if she'll stay home or not? We don't know.
Yeah.
But that's a big transition, and we're really actually enjoying that. One of the beauties that I have is that my wife has always been really supportive, particularly of my fitness career. Even though, I mentioned the fitness thing, I've always played sports, and she's always been very supportive. She knows I need that outlet, and been very supportive of that. And so, all the things we've been through, and there's lots of others, but that she's been through as well. But we've maintained our relationship, and so we're actually really looking forward to this next number of years. It's fun. And so we're looking forward to different vacations. This is our next year will be our 30th anniversary.
Congratulations.
And
awesome.
So we're going to Africa, which I'm totally excited about. I've wanted to go to Africa my entire life.
That's awesome.
And so we're doing that, and it's going to, we're looking forward to that. And I can't say enough about what she's been through with all of this and putting up with me, and the fact that if you guys think I push hard here, I push hard everywhere. There's no off.
It's the same anyway.
There's no off, and my poor wife has to put up with that.
Well,
so.
she is a delight whenever I get to see her, and someone who really has like a fun personality that I'm sure that's been part of what's been making the adventure together has been really cool. And being able to go on trips together is such a good way to like celebrate the next phase. My other questions are really about, for you and your mental health. Like there's a lot that could have been really hard with that. And I obviously like mental health professional, and you are in the healthcare scene. What do you see? How can CrossFit help with those things, you think, on your perspective?
I think everybody's so different. One of the things that often makes me a little frustrated is that we'll hear, working out is a great antidepressant, and it absolutely is. But some people are at the stage where things are so difficult that they can't face that. And when we tell them, this is your treatment, go work out, and they can barely get out of bed in the morning.
Right.
I think we're not helping them. When they get to the point where they can, the community, feeling like you're part of something, and working out. We know fitness is very good as a way of treating depression. We know it's excellent, but so's being part of something. Feeling like you're connected, you're part of something, you're involved. People know if you don't show up, and that is a great treatment for the stress of life. Whether you're struggling with depression or anxiety or all the things that can happen, it can be a great treatment. But I also would not want everybody to feel like you have to do this.
Right.
Because sometimes, like I said, sometimes you can become very task oriented, and the difficulty of that task can vary depending on what's going on in your life. And sometimes the fact that you got out of bed was a major win. And you need to be congratulated on that, not told, well, get out of bed and come to CrossFit at 5:30 in the morning. We'll make you feel better.
Right.
Maybe as you start to feel better, we'll help.
We're
there for you.
Just getting out
we're
of
there
it,
for
right?
you. But maybe you should just be congratulated on the fact that you managed to do anything. Because sometimes life is so hard that managing to do anything is a major win. I think that you bring one of the things I see so often for in depression and anxiety treatment, just in general, you're right, just getting out of bed, the self-care, just taking one step can feel insurmountable. And we as parents, teachers, all of those roles that we play, sometimes we also are task oriented, and we don't always stop and say if your leg was broken, we wouldn't be like, how dare you not go work out, right? That it's an invisible wound that we are that many people are struggling with. And I think it's clear that our lack of connection in today's society is one of the most harmful things that we have. And finding people to really connect with is so important, but not always possible for everybody. And they're just not there. But we want to make sure when people come, to CrossFit, we give them that opportunity. Also, some people they don't want to reach out. They want to come work out and be left alone. Okay, kind of finding that balance where we're supplying what you need when you come with a hard workout that's going to tire you out at the end of the day. Because sometimes when everything's stressed, it is really nice not to think about anything else but the fact that I can't breathe. Right now, breathing is my basic motion. That's all I can do right now is lay on the floor and try to breathe because everything else is gone. And so it can kind of be a way to escape from some of the things that you're dealing with, which is great.
Yeah, I agree. I think those are, you brought like some of the main things I think so much of our like world, the connection, lack of feeling like we are part of something, and how what that looks like for each of us is going to be different. And that's why we need more, there's not enough mental health people, but there's also, not always the thing that's going to focus on the outreach part too, I think, as well. So.
Well, one of the things in the questions you asked me is, what are the things that you've learned about your journey? And one of the major ones is find an accountability partner, right? We always talk about finding an accountability partner, which really can help. But what if you can't find one? What you become, the only way to deal with that is to be the accountability partner yourself and become the accountability partner for other people, and that's how you find them. So if you were saying, okay, well, kind of get out of that idea of I'm looking for somebody else to fill this role, turning that around and saying, I'm going to fill this role for somebody else, and then you find those people through that. Just kind of flipping the script a little bit. And we kind of have this idea now that we need to find people to surround yourself to make yourself, better. And to build you up and, all those kind of ideals.
But what if you are that?
You need to be that. You need to be that. And then you find that then that group is much easier to find. But if you're thinking, well, I don't have people around me who build me up, okay, what's the actual functional step? And the functional step is not to go look for a whole new group of people. The functional step is to become that person yourself for other people. And then as they get built up, they'll become more of that for you. So it sounds simple, but it's not, of course.
Simple, not easy, right? Lots of the things that really are helpful sound simple, but they are a big step in the process. One of the things I really appreciate is that accountability that you appreciate that you give for me, and the journey that you've seen DCF be on in the last 10 years. We're definitely different than when we first opened the doors 10 years ago, and when we were starting CrossFit.
Yes, it's very different.
It's a very different vibe. What do you see that we? This is not like for tooting horns, but what do you see that has improved in the last 10 years?
What I think, if you go to other boxes, which I've done, and you're traveling, you're different boxes. Every box kind of has its own vibe to it, and you feel it right away. Some it's a bro workout, and it just is, and it's all about the super fit guys, and mostly guys. There's sometimes a few of the women involved in that too, but it's mostly guys, and it's a very intimidating place to work out. And then you go to some places and there's just nothing. I mean, you're there, you're doing your own thing, and nobody even said anything to you. And so there's very different vibes. And becoming what you have done in particular here is ensured that when people come here, this is a place where they are going to feel welcome. Whether they want to be a bro and throw around big weights, great. But you're not going to let that vibe be the overwhelming thing. So the person that's new or isn't lifting big weights, who's modifying everything, feels like they are just as valuable as the person who can bench press 500 pounds. Creating that atmosphere where wherever you are in your fitness journey, you're going to feel comfortable, and you're going to feel pushed to improve, but at the same time not shoved to improve. So creating that has been excellent. And the other thing that most people don't recognize if they haven't traveled is how good our space and equipment is, which is a huge financial obligation and dedication. It really is. You go to other places and you're like, wow, we have so much better equipment and better space. And I know that's a huge investment back into the company that you've made, and we really have that here. So I think those two areas. And if people haven't been in leadership before, those things are not accidental. They take intention, they take work, they take effort, they take time. And I know you put all that into it because I know where those things come from, and that's you and the other coaches that you work with. And all those things have continued to improve, and something I know you work on all the time.
Yeah.
I know you're intentional about it. So you have to be.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I'm really proud of our coaching team. This year has been like really cool to see them grow, and cool to see some of our new coaches take in some like new role, like take on and start getting up and rolling, which also makes me just like, it makes me really proud. And I feel like, that like even like the members really do a good job of even like giving them enough of a hard time to help them feel like more comfortable in their space too, because they're like learning new things. But yeah, I think I'm so proud of the team that has like invested in providing the best class that we can. So, and we'll keep on getting better because that's what it's about. Because if it's a good experience, they're gonna feel like there's at least they can come back the next day.
Right, and we've been through a lot. I mean, we went through COVID, for goodness sakes. I mean, we're doing wall balls in the rain against the side of the building. I mean, you think wall balls are tough inside. You try and grab that slippery thing that's covered in rain and that grit stuff coming off the side of the building.
Bad.
Oh, man.
Those are good memories.
We got through it, and, as a group, and survived. And I know from a business standpoint, I'm sure it was very difficult. How is this business even going to survive through this? But we did, and part of that is that we had a lot of members and a lot of coaches who just simply said, we want this to exist after this is over. And if we don't continue to invest in it during this really tough time, it's not going to exist when we're done. And I think we had a lot of people who just basically said, we're going to make sure this is still available to us because it's so important. Yeah.
Watching people show up, it was like the most inspiring time of, I think, looking back, it's like, when we all were in class in the morning, we only canceled 2 classes, I think, during COVID because there was just everyone showed up still. We're like, well, it's kind of cold. No, still everyone showed up.
There were some really cold ones. There were some really cold ones.
The jump roping, and you could see the sparks coming off.
And
the
coaches
cement.
wearing like parkas because they weren't working out and staying warm.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Jeannie still being able to do the artwork on the rolling
the thing out with the artwork on it. Yeah.
So
amazing.
That is one of my while it was like one of our dark times, it was also like one of the brightest shining experiences was those humans.
But that's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
We don't improve. We don't feel connected unless we've struggled. I mean, that's what creates resilience, and that's what. So when we struggle like that, that's what connects us. Struggle is no fun, but it shouldn't be feared. That's the thing that makes us who we are as a community, as a CrossFit community, makes you who you are as a person. I won't say it doesn't suck. I mean, it does sometimes, and I mean we've been through it. But it makes you who you are, and connects you to people in a way that you couldn't connect if you didn't have struggles.
Yep.
So they're real.
Yeah, they are real. And I think that will be as we continue to evolve and go through more, there will be more things for sure. And we are going to be stronger because of those two. So thank you for taking time to hang out with me. And I love getting to chat with you. So, but if there's anything that you enjoyed, or if you feel like this was a good story or want to share it with someone else, thank you for doing that. Actually doing things. I hope you are actually doing something today. And come into DCF. If you have questions, we'd love to help you out with taking care of yourself and getting connected so you can get fit and live happy. See you next time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That was good, I thought.